Welcome to another exciting adventure on the Riding Through the Unknown. And
That's how it is.
I'm joined tonight with or actually this afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, I am joined by an amazing guest who I am so excited to have on the show and have been looking forward to for a couple of months now. I think we've been chatting about it. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to introduce yourself, the one, the only, amazing, blessed Fei'Ara Violet. How are you?
Hello, hello. I think that
Hello.
was my introduction. So sorry, I'm getting every other word you're saying. Bless. Greetings, everybody. I am Fei'Ara Violet. I'm coming to you. Cut out. Oh, there we are. I'm coming to you live from Luxor, Egypt. It's just after 10 p.m. at night, and I am living in Luxor, Egypt right now on a big spirit mission.
That is
But it's
amazing.
so great to be here, Michael. Thank you so much. And I didn't catch if you wanted me to say something specific or just to say hello.
You are welcome to introduce yourself and what you do. Um, yeah, it's.
Introduce what I do. I got that. Yay! One thing about Egypt is the Wi-Fi is very, very slow. So I am a multidimensional heart wisdom pioneer. That has been my title for the last few years. I come from a background of performing arts, of healing arts. I have woven my art forms into one tapestry, and now I work in the field of light, sound, and movement through healing, through different modalities. I work very much right now. In the last year, a year ago this month, I flew to Egypt on a one-way ticket, very spirit guided, and kind of decided to go on my own pilgrimage, a spiritual gym mission. And a performing artist and a spiritual guide, you could say, for probably the last 20 to 30 years.
Uh-oh. Gotta love Wi-Fi overseas. So hopefully she'll be back. And I do apologize for the lag and the Wi-Fi. We're doing the best we can to bring this episode. As we did mention, she is in Luxor, Egypt at the time. And so hopefully we can do this episode, and we just ask your patience and understanding for the Wi-Fi glitches. And thank you to everyone who's tuning back in to this episode. We had a little bit of delay this afternoon, and so we are working on getting it fixed. Time change and time zones are always fun for live shows, so bear with me as we try to get her back in and her Wi-Fi strong enough to connect again. Here she comes. Let's see. There she is.
Trying and
She is.
oh. I shut down a bunch of browsers and swap things around, and here I am, ninjaing back. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I can.
Okay, perfect. So I'm not sure where I got cut off, but should I continue?
Um, you can continue. Um, you're talking about working in light.
Perfect. Okay, so yes, modalities, working with light, sound, and movement. So worked as for decades as a dancer, performer, choreographer, worked as an actor for years, a singer. And at the same time, I was following a deep spiritual path. And I was slowly creating my own modality of blending creative arts and healing arts. So as a massage therapist, a Reiki master, different modalities of yoga, and of course, a trained dancer since I was in my teens all the way through my adulthood. It was very clear to me that there were bridgings that were happening as I was working in the performing arts and in the creative arts. And so in the last decade, my entire, and certainly since COVID, my entire career changed. I left Los Angeles, where I worked as an actor and a yogi and all the things, and really launched me deeper into taking this gift that was coming online for me with my voice and with working with energy work, et cetera. And over the course of the last 4 years, 5 years, I would say my entire modality spectrum has transformed into what I call multidimensional embodiment. And so I work with clients one-on-one, giving them guidance online. I work in one-on-one sessions where I do kind of karmic clearing, chakra clearing, energy work, just emotional getting into the body. I still do like body work with the hands, but mostly it's energy and just kind of like being so in tune with people's bodies and kind of really understand energetically what they need to help them align. I worked as a nutritionist and a sports fitness person for a long time. So health and wellness was like my jam for years. So it's my journey has been merging my spiritual path with this constant evolution of like the physiological embodiment and just how to hold more light. When I say light, I mean just spiritual wisdom, philosophy, knowledge, just everything that the gnosis of the cosmos, the macro, into the micro, and the micro being our cellular bodies and the wisdom of the inner world, the wisdom of this container and this vessel. And so I've worked a lot with the Yeshua and Magdalene teachings and the Rose lineage, and I really incorporate, galactic beings and our ancestors and the land and the elementals. So when I say multidimensional, I work on a massive spectrum of energy fields, and I also work on a massive spectrum on the knowledge of the body and different modalities of health and wellness and etc. And so when someone asks me what I do, I'm like, well, there's many hats that I have worn, and I specifically just tune into a specific person if they come to me for insight or wisdom or healing session. um, I meet them where they're at, and I bring them forth what I feel is the best for their needs in that moment. So I hope that that answers the question. It's quite broad, but if there's specifics that come through for you, please don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you, and that's amazing, and thank you for doing that. And one question I have from reading your bio is you mentioned being a multidimensional voice weaver, planetary choreographer, I think is how you pronounce that, and living transmitter of the Genesis flame. You piqued my interest. I'm curious
Mm-hmm.
what all that means and how it works.
Well, Thank you. So I'll just start in the order of, and so a vocal weaver. So I've been working with my voice as a voiceover artist and a singer since I was in my teens, and got into voiceover and acting. And so I've been like playing in the field of my voice for many, many years and have been able to, play many roles, so to speak, and tune into many different frequencies. When I started to use my voice, when it really came online in sessions, was when I was working in the modality. And I actually had a partner at the time that we would work in tandem, and kind of hold. He was a man, and we would hold this like polarity of the masculine and feminine for our clients. And I started to receive messages for the clients, and I started to channel. And over the course of those years, I was channeling a lot and receiving direct messages. And I would receive what I would call, I mean, of light language. So I would call it codes. And it's more like the concept of the idea of each individual has their own soul stream. And within that stream, it's like a disk, right? A floppy disk that has codes on it. And you have your own sound file. So we all our body holds sound files in our nervous system, in our cellular bodies. And so what my work started to do as I was, tuning and tuning and tuning more, I was able to hear, and because I was a songwriter and, tuning into characters and frequencies of characters, I was able to kind of shift that tuning fork that I am into the specific clients that I was working with. And then I would bring these sound files through, and it started to grow and grow, that I could actually go through each chakra and give someone I could hear where the dissonance and the frenetic frequency.
Okay, folks, so apparently we're having another tech issue with the Wi Fi. Again, thank you for your understanding with the fact that she is in Luxor, Egypt, and we are communicating overseas, and some areas are just not as strong Wi Fi areas as others. So, thank you for your understanding and patience with this, and hopefully, there won't be many of these dropouts, but we are doing our best to bring you this information. So, we'll see if she can come back. Ah, here we go.
She appears. She disappears. She appears.
Use magic.
It's my multidimensionality. I had to do work somewhere else. Oh, bless. Okay, so I was talking about sound and light. Okay, so just jumping right back in. If you think of every experience you ever had in this life as a little piece of information that is lodged in your nervous system, hence we know having a blown out nervous system from trauma and bad experiences, emotional trauma, whatever kind of trauma we call it. But any experience that we have, smell, taste, touch, through our senses, is lodged into our body like a sound file. And when we're working in somatic practices and embodiment, we're rewiring our nervous system. And in order to rewire it, we have to get it into a parasympathetic state. And we have to actually, so all of the work that I've done with massage and with yoga and, breath work, etc., all of these modalities are working to help regulate the nervous system. And what I found when I would work with people with sound, like specific, able to channel and tune into the actual sound, that it's almost like I can tune into where the frenetic frequency is in the body. And I can sound like as if I'm calibrating the sound files, and I'm going into the energetic area. So if it's the heart chakra or the throat or right, these are nerve bundles. They're the centers of nerves within the body where the trauma lies. And a lot of us know that, chakras that are out of alignment, and that's all the yogic teachings. But specifically, I'm able to hear someone who's tuning into sound and saying, a conductor saying, oh no, that instrument is off, we need to tune that up, right? So I would started doing that with sound, and I would have miraculous results from people feeling like they're literally in 24 hours their life was completely changed. And I realized the power of sound and how we've taken it for granted, and it's just become something that we listen to. But when we think of sound healing, of course, there's instrumental healing and there's vocal healing. But to actually tune in to specifics about a body and sing to it and tone to it is like the power of how words, how thoughts, and how energy and frequency affects our cellular bodies, even just within me speaking, oh, I wish, or oh, I hate, or oh, I, right? Our words become our body. We carry the sound files of every word we've ever spoken, every thought we've ever thought, and all of the information that we've taken on. So if we're holding all of that information, how do we discharge that and come back to harmony and come back and find a 0 point? So we talk a lot about quantum technology right now and the 0 point energy. If we all have a toroidal field, how do we clear and clean our toroidal field if we have all these frenetic frequencies and dissonance within our vessel? Our vessel needs to be in harmony to actually activate the light body. So we can see ourselves like the earth has a toroidal field around it, and we have our own 6-foot toroidal field around us. When we tone, it's one of the fastest ways, almost like singing light into sound. So what I was able to do for years to tune in and access different levels and layers of the etheric body through light frequencies, I then was able to tune into those very subtle realms and hear the frequencies that the individuals were calling for. What was the nutrients of light, which is a book I'm working on. What is the nutrients of light that is going to serve this person in this location of their body? And then I could hear almost like a sound file, and either I would get specific tones or light language or direct messages, sometimes from ancestors, sometimes from the trauma itself, speaking to from the higher being of that person, the oversoul of that person would come through. So in essence, I was singing the soul song back online. So I was realizing within the first half a dozen clients I had where this started to really come online for me, I realized, oh, I'm singing their soul song. I'm tuning into their original blueprint, what's at the actual core of their being that they were born with, underneath all of the dust and the frenetic frequencies that were overlaid over their original blueprint. So it was like me, like oscillating their own original frequency was bringing it stronger in the core of their being back online. And so it was bringing more harmony within their entire body and their energy field. So, and of course, as you're singing, as I'm singing their soul song, I'm receiving the medicine as well. So I was also having massive responses from the energy that I was able to tune into. Then what ended up happening was I went to Mount Shasta. I spent in 2023, I spent my first time in Mount Shasta, and I spent a week on the mountain, and I was very directed by my guides, like, you need to go here, you need to sit here, you need to do this. And I had, energy signatures. That is what they called themselves. You're going to meet an energy signature. And I was like, okay. And then I all of a sudden would get hit by energy, and I would just start to sing, and I would be struck with
Hmm? Let's see if we can get her back. Okay, so fingers crossed that the Wi-Fi will pick up and she can pop back in real quick. I will admit it's a little frustrating as a host dealing with this, but we just do the best we can, and I appreciate your patience and understanding, and here we go.
I'm back again. I'm jumping between the hotspot on my phone and Wi-Fi. It's like, seems like they just give me a small window, and then I got to jump to the other one. Okay, so Mount Shasta, I spent a week there. It was the first time the elements started to channel through me, like specifically like trees, rocks, water. I was getting almost like a medicine experience on the mountain because I started to be able to hear the specific frequencies of nature, and I could hear their song. And it was almost like they were happy when I started to sing their song. And it was profound. And I had a transmission on the last day. I was sitting by in Panther Meadow up on Mount Shasta, and I started toning, and I was recording it on my audio dictation, and the water's flowing by, and I'm just sitting there in peace and singing and singing and singing. And the sun was shining through the trees, and I'm hitting these tones that I had never accessed before. And something happened where it sounded like everything went silent, but I could feel the tone coming out of my mouth, but it was almost like I hit a resonance that was the equivalent of nature. I can't even describe what it was. It was almost like time froze. The wind stopped. I couldn't hear anything, not my voice, not the wind, not the water. And I was like singing, and I had a full pineal gland activation, and I saw the Merkaba in my pineal gland light up, and it was almost like plasma was coming out of the center of my eyes were closed, and I'm like, what is going on? And I opened my eyes, and this little fairy, I swear you not, fairy, flew across the sky, and I was just sitting there like, what is happening right now? And I'm like, oh, this the highest note I think I've ever held for a super long period. And it just, yeah. So this happened short after I had a throat activation, about a half an hour later, further up the stream. And I was calling, like it was like an eagle sound came out of my throat. And after this, the message that Mount Shasta left me with was, you must sing to the waters. And so I was like, it was no joke. On my drive home, I went through Vegas, and I was at a hot springs in Vegas, singing to the waters. And I was going to every body of water. I lived in Sedona at the time, and I would go to the creek and sing, and everywhere I would sing to the waters. And then I went to a hot springs in southern Arizona. There was a bunch of people in the water, and I started to tone under the water, and I got the realization, wait, we are water, and I think I'm supposed to sing to the people, but not sing as a performer, because of course I was a singer for a long time, but this was a whole other thing. This was not singing. It was like sound, tuning in to the water, and what's the song that's going to heal the waters. And so this was the very beginning where it like went from just having some light language and things coming in to actually really opening up. And within 30 days, I had a set of 7 crystal sound bowls that a friend left the country and gave them to me. It was like everything just showed up in my field. Boom, I did my first sound healing, which was like a live channeling. And the crystal bowls helped me to tune to each of the chakras. They were set at 432 hertz, and they were tuned to every one of the 7 chakras. And what started to come through as I started doing these sound healings, and at first I just offered it to friends and was like, oh, 5 or 6 friends, here, lay down, let me give you a sound journey. And I was just opening up to what the bowls had for me, and tuning into more of a collective field as opposed to an individual. And what I started to see and feel and experience, I would go into a deep theta state, and my voice would be taken over. I would be literally singing multiple streams of soul songs, all harmonizing at the same time. So I couldn't tell you in the moment whose soul song I was singing, but I was feeling the collective room. So I would explain to them, I'm going to tune in to your souls, your song, your original blueprint. And I'm going to sing. And when you hear me going into like kind of off sounds, like a little dissonance, I call it like the laser sound. Like sometimes where someone has a trauma, or there's a deep blockage in the body, or there's something going on, I would get these real guttural sounds, or like deep Tibetan sounds, or a Native American, or, in the root chakra, and real just like grovel, or almost, as some people said, I sound like a didgeridoo, like a natural didgeridoo coming out. And so I realized that the gift that was coming online was not, I'm not thinking about, oh, I'm going to sing a song. It's not music. It's literally an activation or a frequency alignment, a recalibration with sound of your own song. And the way that I would explain it to people, within our DNA, and this is where kind of the Genesis flame and the planetary choreography, and I'll get a little bit into that, but that's like really the spiritual mission that came through for me when I came to Egypt, was that I was working with a master called Serapis Bey. I don't know if you're familiar, never had heard from him. He started showing up like 8 days before I left to go to Egypt. He started coming in. I was like, who is this person in my meditation? I'm like, gotta show yourself. What is this? And my girlfriend and I were doing a drive across the country, and she was listening to an audiobook, and literally I was sleeping in the back of the car, and I heard she's listening about something, oh, Master Saint Germain and Serapis Bey. And of course I know Saint Germain and have worked with the I Am teachings for a long time. And I sat up in the car and I said, Serapis Bey, who is that? She said, oh, it's an ascended master. I look him up online. Literally, this was 2 days after I'd had these visions, and it was the first Google search of Serapis Bey. I'm like, that's the man who I've been seeing in my visions, in my meditations. What does this mean? So I do all this research, and Serapis Bey was the master and the 4th Chohan of light. He was the master that was in charge of the ascension flame when Atlantis fell. And so Serapis Bey, Saint Germain, and Thoth left Atlantis and came to Kemet. Didn't know any of this. All of a sudden, Serapis Bey is showing up 10 days before I leave to go to Egypt. I'm like, whoa, you can't make this stuff up. What is going on right now? I'm like, okay, I'm a humble student of what this is all about. So he's basically comes in intuitively, subtle. It's not like I'm seeing a vision. I saw orbs. Like in my meditations, I could really like tune in to see what what shapes and forms and colors and whatnot. And he always showed up as 4 orbs of light. And then I saw he's the 4th Chohan, and the master that's in charge of stability, discipline, and devotion, and the ascension flame. And so I thought, oh, 4 orbs of light, that makes sense. All this to tie in, I go through a year and a half of doing these sound journeys for people, recognizing that I'm having this vocal gift come online, and I'm channeling. I actually ended up going out for an expo in Florida, to Sarasota, and a girlfriend of mine, set me up at this retreat, or this expo, and I had clients back to back signed up with me, and it was the most clients I had seen in a 24-hour period ever, other than like when I was working in massage, therapy places back in my 20s, and it was like back to back massage therapy clients. But they all wanted to have this experience of the sound journey and the calibration, the soul song sound journey. That for me was one of the most powerful initiations, because I had to sharpen my tuning fork, so to speak, so much so that I was, every 30 minutes I was working on another person. I had like 12 people in one day, and I was like, what is going on? And after that, it was almost like it took off exponentially, of how fast I could read and feel and tune into a room. And since then, this is just this year, this was February this year. And so since I've been in Egypt, I've had a lot of clients. I've had more clients back in Sedona when I visited over the summer, and then also again in Florida. And what it started to show me when I would work with people in bigger groups, so let's say 10 or 15 people, maybe even 30 people, I literally would start to see, if I closed my eyes, I could see energy-wise, like almost like an umbilical cord, but a spiral that would come out of the person. And it, like when you see in those sci-fi movies and they go, oh, there's the DNA. Okay, we're going to just remove this. We're going to remove that. And we're going to put that in. And it was literally like that. I could see this, like these little holographic DNA spirals coming out of people that was their soul song. And as I was sounding, it was like I was being shown what tone, what frequency, and I'd be working on the bowl, and I'd be harmonizing with the bowl and the sound, and it would show me through the bowl what the collective field needed to be in the most harmonic resonance. So I was like, okay, this is getting even more and more detailed. And then simultaneously, all this was happening. I come to Egypt. I'm working with Serapis Bey. I'm getting all this, being guided to go to this temple or that temple, or go and sit here for 2 hours. Okay, don't do anything, no crystals, no sound, just sit. And I was getting calibrated from the temples. I would go and sit in a temple for an hour or 2 hours and just sit, and I could feel my whole body changing, because the frequency, these temples are they're frequency devices. They're not something you go to worship in. They're something you go to calibrate in, because they're a mirror. They're like a macrocosmic mirror of our own body complex, but on the earth. So the Nile is like the Shushumna, the spine, and the spinal fluid. And along the spine is the root chakra of Aswan. I'm in Luxor. It's the solar plexus chakra. And it goes all the way up. So it goes from crown all the way to root. And there's temples and locations, like specific nodes where the energy centers were activated at the beginning of creation. Hence why they call Egypt the motherland for the planet. So I have called now Egypt the motherboard. And I love the analogy of technology. I'm back. Okay, I just jumped onto my hotspot here.
So you were talking about Egypt being the motherboard.
Are you there? Are you there? I think you're
Yes.
recording.
Yes. And so the last thing we heard
Oh.
was Egypt being the motherboard.
Ah, I hear you vaguely. Let's see. Hmm.
Okay, let's see. Gotta love Wi Fi, especially when you're jumping between two different Wi Fi's. So thank you guys for your patience, and I hope this is all coming through clear and the lag is not interfering too much. Let's see. Hopefully, it should be strong enough for her to pop back in and get a few more minutes. I do appreciate all of you that are watching, your understanding. I can't say it enough. Thank you. I know it's difficult to watch when the guest keeps popping in and out, but we are doing the best we can. So thank you. And here we go.
Woo-hoo!
Here. So, can you hear me now? That's
I'm not getting anything you're saying. I'm so sorry, brother.
that. Okay. So, uh, okay. So we'll do our best to get this information out, and I do appreciate the patience with it. And I do have to admit, this is very interesting, and I'm glad we're able to get what we are able to get, and hope you all are getting something out of this as well. And I will say, from my personal experience of being in Egypt, that yes, the Nile, when I visited, Aswan was the root chakra, and then each temple we went to towards Cairo and the King's Pyramid would then be the crown chakra. And so it's very empowering visiting the temples and stepping in the energy of the land. And we'll see if we can bring her back in. And here we go. We'll try again. Okay. Fingers crossed she can hear us. Uh, Hoping she can hear us. We'll see
I
if we
can hear
can.
you. Yay.
Okay. Yay. I was mentioning the last thing we heard from you
Can,
before you
can you
cut out was Egypt being the motherboard.
Beautiful. So yes, if we think of like anything, any computer, any device at this time, there is a motherboard. We know what the motherboard means. And in the age of digital work, and what I have discovered with the activation I received and the awakening I received and the initiations I received the first 2 weeks I came here last fall, which was like September, October period during the eclipse season. My vessel was pummeled through all the locations I went to. And when I went back to Sedona, I got the initiation of, like, you know, the stomach bug, couldn't get out of bed for a week. And I literally had spirit telling me, you're going to go back to Egypt and you're going to lead pilgrimages there. And I was like, what are you talking about? No. What do you think? Me? What? Was never on my radar. However, I had started getting direct channels in March, April of last year, of 2024. And I was very clearly told, sell.
Okay, so hopefully we'll get her back and be able to continue this. And let's see see if she can hop on her other Wi-Fi and get enough strength. Here we go.
Okay. I just jumped back on my hotspot. So where was I? I think I said I was getting downloads around getting rid of all, and that I was getting the call to move. So that would happened last May, a year ago May. And I went to Hawaii and was getting very clear directives of what I needed to do and where I needed to go. And everywhere that I went, I was doing my sound work. I was doing gridding, which I didn't even know what that was at the time. I mean, I knew what it was, but I would never have called myself a grid worker. But I knew I was getting directives to go to very specific locations and to meditate and to sit and to tone and to make sound. So I was like, oh, I think that this is what's happening. And then I went to see an Akashic reader because it started getting kind of out of hand. I was having like very specific Pleiadian, Arcturian, Lyran, Vegan, Andromedan. They were all coming through, and it was happening like over the course of 2 months. It was just like, again, and I was told at the beginning there would be 13 total. And I was like, okay, 13. I have a team of 13. Okay, great. And so as that continued, it wasn't a surprise to me because I've been following all of this for years and very deep into UFOs and whatnot, but I wasn't calling myself a channeler, so to speak. But my higher self was like, oh, she's ready. Let's give it to her. Let's give her the mother load. And so I started receiving these directives, and then I went to Mount Shasta again and spent 10 days with a sister up there, and we got a lot of direct messages there. Then I went to Ireland, to the Hill of Tara and the standing stones in the Hill of Tara. And then I went to Egypt, and that was in September, October. And after Egypt was when I got the clear message, you're going back and you're going to do this. And I was like, what is going on? But I knew I could feel it. I didn't know how it looked. I didn't know what I'd be.
Oh, Come on. It's kind of interesting when you think about it's almost probably 11 midnight in Egypt, and Wi-Fi is dropping out, and makes you wonder who's on the Wi-Fi at that hour. Because normally a lot of people are asleep, so it's kind of interesting. Must be a lot of people talking with their loved ones around the world. But here we go. We'll try again. And she's back.
She's back. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. There's a wedding going on the street. Weddings here are 3 days of party and then celebration. So I have like over 200 people just outside my building. So I'm not surprised that the Wi-Fi and the networks are like overloaded with people right now using them. So bless. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Testing 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Yeah. We can hear you.
Hello, hello. Hello, hello.
Yes, we're hearing you. You're coming through. Uh-oh. Wow, 200 people at a wedding. That's quite a list and quite an event. So that explains why there's so many people on the Wi-Fi. Wow. Well, hopefully she'll be back and we'll get to hear some more of her experiences and story. Here we go. Let's see. Is she back? Here we go.
What? Okay. Okay. Did you hear about the wedding? I can't popped
Yes.
back on for a minute and I don't know. Okay. So there we go. So yes, I land back in Egypt and my initiation was Serapis Bay, which I then found out like 2 weeks after my girlfriend sent me a bunch of information that he had an etheric retreat over Luxor Temple, and I just happened to be staying 10 minutes away from Luxor Temple across the Nile. So, the coincidences, the synchronicities, the whoa, this is not happening, but it's really happening was happening. And so for the last year, I have been living in Egypt. I did come back to the States in June through September. And the level of which Egypt has shown me what she truly is as a motherboard and why there's so much attention on Egypt, why there's so many souls that are being called here, which is to be recalibrated and to be like a node of light, because we each have a very specific signature and we are all awakening. We're all in this ascension process to coming back into our Christed consciousness, to coming back into our galactic and star family and unifying the fields, because there is no more polarity, there is only unity. And they above and us here, and the infinitely small.
Oop. Ooh, come on. I want to know what the infinitely small part is. So, hopefully, we'll get to hear that here in just a moment as we work on getting her back on. And, oh, we seem to be popping in and out faster now. All right, she's back. I hope. I think. Oh, we might need to jump Wi-Fi again. Oh, I can hear her typing now. Okay. So we'll see if we can get the better of the two Wi-Fis back up and connected so we can hear more of the story and experience. And Egypt is a wonderful land, a beautiful land. If you ever get the chance to get there, highly recommend it. Do be safe going there, though. Don't take unnecessary chances or risks. Just stay on the path, stay with your group. It is an amazing place to step through and visit and go through the chakra initiations or activations. So we'll see if we can hear more as she's popping back in. Let's see.
I'm not sure if you can hear me.
There we go. We
but
can hear
at least
you.
I can hear myself for a minute. Oh, bless. So the motherboard of Egypt, mirroring the planetary motherboard, which she is also activating in our motherboard, which is helping the heart remember the unified field. So I talked before about the toroidal field around us and the 0 point. When we are thinking about 0 point energy, we're clearing distortion out of the matrix that we are encapsulated in around our planet. We are also encapsulated in some ways. Some people are encapsulated in matrices around their entire being, hence their auric field, their energetic bodies are completely out of attunement and alignment. So the back to the work that I do is to recalibrate and harmonize people's energy bodies and sound files within the physical structure. And when
Okay, so seems like Wi-Fi is getting a little bit more glitchy, so we will do our best to get you the information and hopefully she can come back in and finish explaining her journey thus far and her journey into Egypt. And so we'll just take a moment, be present, and see if we can't help visualize her Wi-Fi getting boosted so that she can come back on and finish with the episode. Just speaking as a host on that point, let's just visualize sound and frequencies.
back.
Here we go. Welcome back.
I guess I'm definitely a multidimensional participant tonight. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no worries.
So Yes. The work of a planetary choreographer is, of course, I worked as a choreographer, producer, director for years. Are you there?
I'm here.
So the planetary choreography is essentially harmonizing the cellular body of my body and bringing together collective fields to create coherence as a collective field, whether it be on a pilgrimage.
Oh, okay. We'll see if we can time how long this break in Wi-Fi is. I think they're getting shorter, the glitches, so that's a bonus. But hopefully they're coming to becoming less frequent and more frequent. But we'll see. Yep, here we go.
And try again.
There we go.
For a minute. Woohoo. Okay, so planetary choreographer, I started to talk about essentially having been someone who produces, directs, and choreographs for many years, and as far as movement, sound, acting, etc., what I started to realize is I'm choreographing a harmonized field for people. And the whole idea of getting groups together. So I've been working with different festivals and collectives that I have been envisioning creating bigger constructs of sound, movement, and light. So holding a high vibrational intention, almost like a ritual choreography of bringing in a harmonic signature. So planetary choreography is we are rebuilding the genome of the earth together, and we are her cells. So if we're building the light body of the planet to come back online, just as we are receiving our light body and our codes from source and from the galactics and from the angelics. So we are a part of her body. We're the cellular bodies of Mother Earth. And as we activate and we remember who we are, she activates and remembers who she is. And so the whole vision I continue to have, and it's a part of the book that I'm writing, Nutrients of Light, which is kind of the end of the book, and I'm not well deep into it, but not close to done. Is an invitation for people who feel a resonance, because so many people right now are getting calls to go to specific locations. Why do I have this call to go here and sit here? And why was one of my favorite movies Close Encounters of the Third Kind? And I know that feeling. I know telepathically when I'm getting a sign. I know when I dream about beings that are showing me things and telling me to go places. I've been doing it all my life. I've seen UFOs. I've had the. And so what I have been shown is that I'm a planetary choreographer of creating large events to help bring the harmonic convergence, so to speak, within the bodies of the individuals, and then within a choreography of sound and movement, like every tribe that ascended, the Mayans, the Peruvians, all of these ancient tribes that disappeared. Where did they go? Did they ascend? Did they get picked up by the mothership? We don't know, right? So even the ancient Egyptians, they had these ceremonies where they would commune with the gods. Does that mean that they were communing with the higher consciousness of beings from another dimension, another reality? Are they UFOs? So the way I keep seeing it is I'm going to be basically helping call in the motherships. The motherboard is calling in the motherships to get the codes of light so that we can actually rebirth the planet from the land, what was once known as the motherboard and the beginning of civilization. So is this in underway? Yes, slowly but surely. I don't plan anything. I have a few big events coming up, like in 2027. There's a solar eclipse in over Luxor. Just happened to be finding that out right before I left. I was like, oh, another piece. And then my astrologer friend is like, oh, that's totally in your chart. You have something really big you're supposed to do on that day. And I was like, yeah, I think I know what that is. So I have choreographed what I call prayer performances. So it's kind of, when I use the word ritual, I don't like that word because it has a lot of negative connotations, but ceremonial choreography, as opposed, it's very much as we are living vessels of the Christ light. When we work in harmony in choreography, just like fish swim together, birds flock together, when we all attune ourselves to the same frequency of calling in, whether it's a frequency, a tone, a chant, a prayer, like, the Islam is going around the cube in Mecca. They are doing something with the energy, with their own bodies. They're creating harmony. 5 times a day, the mosques are singing here. I feel that frequency. It's actually been recorded at a 432 hertz, which means it's sending out waves of harmony into the atmosphere 5 times a day. Islam is probably, for me personally, I've never lived anywhere where there's Islamic people, the most harmonious, like heart open people. There are distortions in it, absolutely, for sure. And I'm very aware of that. But I also see and feel what the medicine is here and also where they need to be calibrated as far as like a collective field. But so many Westerners and light workers and spiritual workers that are getting called to come to Luxor, called to come to different locations in Egypt right now, it's off the charts. And I'm getting people from Thailand and from Bali and, oh, you're in Egypt. I've been feeling I got this call. And what are you doing there? So I know that I was placed here at exactly the right time, because I know that the work that I'm here to do with the sound, with the choreography, and with how we're bringing humanity together as one unified field. And if the nodes of light, if we think of a network and a computer, we have a network. Obviously, we had a bad network here to connect us, but the network are creating hubs, and the hubs of light are the light workers. We've gone through phases, right, since 2012, and then obviously 2020 activated a lot of other people. Now we're going through another cycle. We're like the next phase. So we're bridging, we're creating a new matrix field around the planet by consciousness expanding, by our own bodies expanding, and knowing that there's nothing outside of me that's more powerful than me, because I am that I am. Yeshua said, you are the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is within you. That means I am source creator. You are source creator. We are all source creators. I create my own reality, but I can only create the future beautiful reality if I'm in coherence with my electromagnetic field. And I don't take on anyone else's energy. I am my own sovereign being. Hence, the structures are falling of the governments, the religions, everything outside us is falling down, but that's a mirror of what has to happen inside us. We have to die off the old structures of all of the templates that were put into our nervous system that were distorted and that were powered to what is outside of us. I can't access God unless I go to a priest. I can't access this unless I go to that. I can't access this unless I pay money. If we reclaim our sovereignty truly and absolutely indivisible, then we are the source. My source is my source. Your source is your source. And we are all connected to the source. Whether you call it God's source or the infinite source or the monad, there's many different names for it, but we are the I am presence of source. And so the work that I do is to help people reclaim their embodiment. It's what Yeshua, what Magdalene, what the masters did to ascend the ego, to ascend the density of this reality and know that we come from light and we are going to return to light, whether we do it in death and our light body, it goes back to be recycled and put their body? Do we die, or do we actually ascend, while like the Egyptians believed that they could ascend and go from one consciousness in one body into another dimension, into another body, and still remember who they are? Hence, like, we call sometimes walk-ins are told, but this is what the pharaohs did. They were mummified. They were put into tombs with their gold, with all the inscriptions of their life, of who they were on the wall, to remember, when I come back, I might be gone for 3 months or 6 months. I might be dead and on another reality, but I might come back into this body. And so if I come back, I want to know who I am and what I was, in case I've forgotten. So again, I'm throwing a lot of information at you right now, and it's so exciting because I have like a full connection here. But this is kind of essentially like what has come into my field in the awareness of why I'm here, because I know that I've walked with the light my entire life. I have been involved in spiritual organizations and UFO cults and everything, because I've been fascinated about creation and why we are here and what am I here to do. And I have had it in my head, I'm here to save the world, since I was a child. I've seen UFOs, and I knew that I came from there. I know that my Lyran Pleiadian relatives are my higher self, and they're there like, you got it, girl. You're just down there doing this little human job, and keep going. And so whether that's God, or that's Yeshua, or it's my galactic family, or it's my angelic beings, they're all working with us and through us. And as we awaken our original blueprint, there's no soul left behind. We are all connected to the source. There's no one, not one religion, because there is no separation. There is no polarity. It's only unity. It's only love. It's only consciousness in the higher realms. Hence why getting to the fifth dimension means we have to allow the structures, the blockages, the distortion, the fragmentation to dissolve and be recycled into pure source energy. And so when I've been threading in Egypt, looking at how prayer and discernment, and like just how frequency, because if we think of Tesla talking about, if you can understand the power of the 3, the 6, and the 9, you understand the universe. And the pyramids, Dashur, Giza, and Saqqara, 3 pyramids, 3 locations. They are the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, and the throat chakra of Egypt. All 3 of them have 3 pyramids. Within them, they have holiest of holies. Within those holiest of holies, there's a pituitary gland, a pineal gland, and it's the mother, father, and the child. The pineal gland is like a satellite dish to the father. The pituitary gland is the mother, dropping the codes into the body. And the child is the voice. It's the embodiment. So Yeshua, Magdalene, and the Holy Father, whether you call it Ra, or you call it God, or you call it Source, is dropping the solar codes into our higher intelligence. And that is then integrating it through our mind body, hence the Thothian and Hermetic wisdom. The pituitary is dropping that information into our glandular system to heal and allow our cellular bodies to remember what it is we are truly here for. Truly. Not work, not marriage, not family, not all the things. Our spiritual divine birthright is to be beings that work in harmony to create whatever we want to create. Magic. To create. We are creators. We are creator beings. But we learned through a limited perspective called the Matrix that said, no, this is the only bit that you can see. And obviously there's many of us that have been trying to pull the blinders back our entire lives so that we can see more through the veil. I want to see more. I want to understand more. And this is a lot of what's also you see in the Egyptian, temples, is that to ascend, it takes massive, it's like a kundalini. If someone has too much kundalini, they can fry their nervous system out and go cuckoo and have a heart attack, or just literally burn out. So it's like a threshold. How much power am I allowed to let through the threshold, and can my consciousness hold that much light? My father just passed away in October. He died of Parkinson's and dementia and old age. I observed him over the last like 5-6 years and how Parkinson's hit his system, and researched about what Parkinson's was. But my father was a deeply spiritual man, followed Osho and meditated all his life. But I watched him deteriorate because he didn't know how to integrate the light into his body. He was holding an old template of an Eastern European man, and a little bit chauvinistic and very this and very, stuck in his ways. What is that? That's calcified thought. Calcified body is mirroring the calcified thought. I can't get out of my old ways. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, right? If you want to have more light, you have to surrender. You have to allow the old structures to fall down, and you have to align with the 0 point. And in every moment, be present with no reaction. Like you can't hold dogma in presence. You can't hold a belief system even in presence. You just have to be love. And that's Christ's teachings. Be fluid, be love, be one with whatever is in front of you. Okay, I'm here with a lot of Islamic men that are, my first 6 months here, I was just like, whoa, the energy's intense. And I felt constantly like under attack by distorted masculine energy. And I was just like, whoa, this is. And then finally, I started to understand who and how and what how they see Western people, and all the different things. So this energy in itself was testing me and tuning me, and now I glide through it like oil and water, and I know how to function in that capacity. And sometimes my threshold gets pushed, especially if I'm working with pilgrims that are getting triggered. So I'm tuning into their field, going like, oh, this one's triggered and that one's having this. And so every situation, how much more pressure can you handle? And can you stay in a 0 point field? Can you stay non-reactive? Can you stay neutral and not be? And that, of course, for anybody is like, oh yeah, I can spiritually bypass all of this and be aloof and not look at it. But can we really? And then we go through the threshold of our wounds and the triggers that we have, which I've gone through many of those tests and been on my knees and crying my eyes out and being like, okay, how do I allow my nervous system to get to that place that I know that I want to walk? I want to walk like a master. And this is where the acting past life, the years in Hollywood and working as an actor and a voiceover, I know how to observe something and say, okay, how I see the way their body language is. I see their tone of voice. I see how they hold themselves. I want to be like that. How do I morph myself? It's almost like being a chameleon and a shapeshifter in a way, because you have to learn how to become nothing to then become everything. Does that make sense?
It does, and I'm loving how I had like 3 questions pop into my head, and you answered all 3 of them already.
Woohoo! I mean, I could go on for, this to me is my jam. It's my dharma. Like within 5 months of being in Egypt, I was like, I think I found my dharma. After my first pilgrimage, I thought I was born for this. I used to watch Indiana Jones and think, I want to be the female Indiana Jones. And when I hit my first temples here, I was like, oh my God, I am Indiana. I am Indiana Jones. Here I am. And the final crusade of Mother Earth coming back online. Let's do this. Let's call in the motherships and the crystal skulls, and But honestly, my love for human beings sometimes surprises me. I can go anywhere in the world and I can just love people and I can just find the beauty. And I think that that's a thread that I have been following since my father passed. That I saw this man who lived so desperately wanting to be a wiser, and he understood something so much bigger than his body could ever allow him to hold. And the compassion that I had for my father being who he was and all the wrongs that he did, I saw the beauty and the purity in him. And he was the biggest lesson for me because he taught me how to see the beauty in the worst things in life, how to find the beauty in the shadow. And there's so much talk of, oh, we got to do our shadow work, and oh, the light and the shadow and the dark forces and the right. And it's like, but if there's only one role, this is all a game, it's all an illusion. And if we're just pure consciousness, then our only job is to see through the shadow and to see the light within the shadow. And that's something that Luxor taught me. And I met some young girls in their 20s tonight, and they were like, how are you dealing with the energy here? It's so intense. And they're from Poland and telling me about their spiritual experiences. And I said, you know, I had an encounter last March where I can't even tell you. It was around the equinox. It was 2 days before. I was on like 12 hours. I felt like my nervous system was being pummeled by electricity. And I was on my knees, like praying to God, like, please make this stop. It feels like a medicine journey that won't ever end. And will you please show me what this is for? And I was being shown psychically the underbelly of Luxor and of the planet, tunnels, like just dark stuff. And I was like, why am I seeing all this? I know I have I'm like, my third eye is wide open. And sources said, you don't need to do anything. Just shine the light on it. Show it to me. Like, bring the light to it. It was almost like I was being a vessel from source to just go in and see it. Don't do anything. You just need to see it. But of course, I was feeling it. I was feeling all the energy of what that was holding and just being like, this is overwhelming my system. And finally, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Sekhmet. She's the female lion. Yes. Okay. Her home is in Luxor. I did not know about Sekhmet. I mean, I knew of Sekhmet, but I had no relationship with Sekhmet until I came to Luxor. And that day, I'd had 2 or 3 encounters. I'd seen her temple at Karnak, and I called upon her. I had a statue of her, and I went inside and it was on my balcony, and I'm like on my hands and knees, just like, Sekhmet, show me how to hold this much power in my body and not burn out, because whatever's moving through me is frying. It's kicking my ass. And she, in her statue, she holds her staff, and at the top of her staff is a blue lotus, and it's right in front of her solar plexus, which means she represents the destroyer of illusion, kind of like Kali Ma in the Hindu. And so her job is to burn all illusion. And so as soon as I invited her into the field, I realized what I was doing. I was burning all the illusion. And so whether that was illusion that was inside me, or whether it was the literal illusion I was seeing from the collective, the shadow is, I'm not going to say that it's not real, the atrocities that are happening in the world. We know that there are an astronomical amount of things happening in the world that no one would want to even know that it exists. I know that. And I've been down every rabbit hole. And so to burn through that and bring source to it is like, just show God what exists and let God do God's work, if I was to say it in that terms. And so Sekhmet is showing me how to hold that much light in my physical vessel and not burn and not fry out. Show me the underbelly, show me the shadow, and allow me to stay cognizant and in my 0 point and not destabilize my center. And so this was the first time that she came into the field, and now she's just like, she's always with me. And so this is kind of how Egypt initiated me, through thresholds, through deities. And I don't see Sekhmet or Serapis Bey or Yeshua or Magdalene or even Source outside of me. If we are stars wrapped in skin, searching for the light that's always been within, we are the infinite expressing itself through a physical vessel. And each one of us is a universe. And so each one of these frequencies that we get to experience and align with is a part of us. And so me attuning to Sekhmet was like, oh, now she's not outside of me. She's one with me. Oh, Serapis Bey. Oh, he's not outside of me. He's not this guy that shows up in my mind. He's a part of me. He's a part of my infrastructure now and my soul blueprint. Oh, when I tune to Saint Germain, when I tune to Archangel Michael, they're not any more outside of me in these ideas of something far away in the ether. They're actually nutrients of light that has calibrated themselves into my soul field. And that's where, again, I work with light, sound, and movement, because that's the trinity of Egypt, is light, sound, and color. But color for me is movement, because it's the movement of light and sound, which makes different colors. So every angel, every master is represented by a color, and a color is a frequency. And if we're on a bandwidth of creating frequency and everything is a 369, well, then we are on a spectrum of that frequency, and we can create our reality by harmonizing ourselves to the frequencies of the everything and the nothing.
Yes. And we're approaching an hour and a half, and so I want to take a brief moment and say from my heart and the heart of my show, our condolences for the loss of your father.
Thank you.
And so, go ahead.
No, it's okay. It was an incredible rite of passage. And yeah, I felt it 2 days before, and I didn't know what it was. And then when he left, and then I felt his departure, and I realized he knew that I was ready, and I knew we had a soul contract. And so it was pretty profound to know where I was coming to in my own spiritual journey. And it was almost like his soul tuned into me and knew, oh, she's exactly where she needs to be for you to go now. So yeah, it was profound. But thank you. I really appreciate it.
That's a beautiful gift, and I want to take a moment and allow you to promote and share your work and what you have, all the companies that you have founded. So I'll let you take a moment for that.
Beautiful. Thank you, Michael. So where do I want to begin? My work, Fei'Araviolet.com is my website. That's pretty much my go-to place, and that kind of explains the soul song or star song sound journeys I do, the body of work that I do with like individuals. I have online courses called Multidimensional Embodiment, and I work with people one-on-one. I am presently I've done 3 pilgrimages this year in Egypt, and my next one is in February of 2026. And I have another one in March, and I have another one in April with different people. But the first one in February is mine, and then the other 2 I'm sharing with 2 different sisters I'll be doing. So those will be promoted on my website. And just trying to feel into what would be, if I think like my social media on Instagram is Courageous Love Now, and I'm on Facebook as Fei'Ara Violet, and you can find like my business page and my private page, and I'm always open to connect. Essentially the work that I do and continue to do is forever evolving. And I am back in the States in Sedona, Arizona. I'll be back there for a month between December and January, and then I'll be back there in the summer next year. So if you're passing through there, I'm always putting on events. One of the businesses I started was Frequency. It's a frequency brand called Frequency. And it was like I was joking with the song, get your freak on, get your frequency on, right? And that's how it kind of was birthed. But I then threaded it. So I did kind of a comical version of like just joy and what's, the different frequencies of joy and frequencies of this and that and the other. And it's coming soon. And the other is Free Queen C and Free King C. And that's very much around the divine union and the wholeness of my free queen on the sea. So I call it the free queen, meaning the queendom within is awake, and I'm on the sea of the infinite possibilities. So I'm a free queen sea. And then of course there's a free king sea. So yeah, that's a fun little thing that I'm starting. And the other my multidimensional embodiment, I also promote what I call the Atomic Swan, which is a brand of like t-shirts and different things to help women truly feel, and I mean it can be a man too, but it's basically called empowering your grace, that in order to hold a larger capacity. So if we call of I used to like have these initiations where I'd say to people I went atomic, where the energy was so big in my body, like I would oscillate and shake, and like so much energy was moving through me and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I realized that I was able to hold that much, hence, up into the threshold of Sekhmet, I was able to hold more light. And I was now able to do it like Mother Mary and Magdalene. At least that's how I see it. They're the teachers of grace, this Saraswati and Green Tara and Kuan Yin, of compassion and grace. And what the Christ consciousness is truly enabling us to see is that power does not mean force. And so I can hold a lot of light, but if I do it with grace, then it actually is like a swan. So I call it the atomic swan. It's one of the largest birds. So I can sit on my atomic throne, but I can move like a swan. So there you go. And soon, Nutrients of Life book will be coming out soon, which is kind of a threading of everything I've talked about here and much, much more.
Very cool. And from my experience in Egypt, there is one word that has stuck with me ever since, and I will share it with you because I feel you'll know what it means, and that is shokra.
Shukran. Shukran. It's thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Shukran. Shukran Habibi. Habibi is my favorite word here, which it means my love. And just like, thank you, my love. Everyone is your Habibi. You see men say it to each other, women, children, Habibi and Habibti for women. So shukran Habibi, Michael.
Thank you. And perhaps when your
So
book, yeah, I
sorry,
was
go
going to
ahead.
say when your book comes out, maybe we can have you back on.
That would be amazing. Yeah. And I will be sharing, I do share some like little excerpts from my book. And I'm starting to do that more to just kind of get a little bit of buzz growing, but it'll take a while. I thought I would be working on it all through the summer and I didn't. So I'm just kind of periodically working on chapters, but I haven't put it all together yet. So it'll be a minute, but it's so
Well,
fun.
it is a journey. So thank you. And thank you to everyone who tuned in, and blessings to you, and have a wonderful night and stay safe in Egypt.
Thank you so, so much, Michael. Blessings to you too, and to everyone who's watching. I look forward to see any of you on my social medias and my website. Shukran Habibis. Take
And good night, everyone, or afternoon, wherever
care.
you are in the world.
Bye.